Welcome back, I'm Kim Bailey and this is Floral Art Online, and you're coming with me today to choose the flowers that we're going to use this month in our designs using our store-bought flowers. We're going to visit the Wollombi Road Providores, and that's a fruit and vegetable store locally here that I have mentioned previously in some of the other videos that we've done. I don't know what they'll have there. They went to the markets yesterday, so it'll all be new stock today. We'll see what they've got and what we can do. Well, here I am at the Wollombi Road Providores. We're about to go in and choose our flowers. It's a beautiful day, but a little bit too hot to be standing out here, so let's go inside and find our flowers. So here we are with our wonderful selection of flowers from the Wollombi Road Providores today. We're going to look first of all at what they've got and how we could use that. Now mostly what we've got today are mixed bunches, so that means we have to think about how we could use either the individual parts of those arrangements of the bouquets that have been put together, or whether we need to look at something that's a little bit more structured and individual in terms of a one type of flower. Now lots of the other episodes have got one flower bunches that I've used. We might see today if we can find a nice mixed one. What we're thinking today, because it's February, we might look at a few flowers that could be useful for Valentine's Day or celebration type arrangements that you might be having dinner, you might be having a special dinner for your family or your friends. And so let's look at what we've got here that we could use in a couple of different designs. So we've got this one here, which is a good mixture of the colours that we'd be looking for. We've got a couple of lilies that are not out yet, and remember we talked about how long they might take to come out, but also how long they last, and that they're a good big show for an individual placement in an arrangement. We've got some transition arrangements so that if you had a larger flower, you've got something that moves your eye through from the large to the smaller to the foliage. So that's a pretty good arrangement. This one again has got that similar, it's a much fuller arrangement, much more material in it. So you'd obviously be paying a little bit more for that one than you would for this one. But again, it's got some nice colours in it that are appropriate for this time of year. It's got a range of textures as well, and it's got a lot more foliage in it so that we can fill out whatever we were doing with that extra foliage. If we look at some of the others, we've got nice bright colours. If we wanted to have something that was really outstanding, it's very good for me today, matches what I'm wearing today, we've got foliage only. So we could even go that route if we wanted to and make some shapes with the foliage and make it a little bit different, not have flowers in it particularly. And then we've got some dried material. Now in another video, I'm going to actually buy the dried material and use the dried material and show you how to do that, because I know some of you don't have access to the fresh flowers around. So let me now have a second look through these and decide which ones I'm going to purchase today to do the designs for you. So I'm going to go with this one. It's got a couple of large Banksias in it. But it's got a lot of foliage and it's got that little bit of filler material that we like to see. So now that we've chosen that one, I'm on my way to purchase it, and we'll see what it transforms into in the next 4 designs. Hi Holly, thank you.
Just these ones?
And the lettuce as well,
Yeah,
of course.
That one's just $43.50. Did you need a receipt at all?
Thank you.
Have a good one.
Smile for the camera. Here we are back in the studio, and we're ready to start this month's designs with the bunch of flowers that we bought from the Wollombi Road Providores. So here Here is the bunch, and you can see we've got quite a lot of material to choose from. So we're going to be able to make 4 designs out of this material, so that'll be the 4 videos for this month. There's also a little bit of hessian around the bouquet that they've presented, so we'll use that as well in one of the designs. So let me now just split it up into what I'm going to use in each design, and we'll be back to do the first one. Let's get started now. I've sorted out what was in the bunch that we bought at the Wollombi Road Providores, and you'll see in the photo how much I've got left. So what I've got here, 3 stems of a little daisy, 1 stem of the magnolia leaves, and getting caught on the wire, 3 of the silver dollar. And that's all we need for this particular design. We're also going to use some mesh. This comes in a roll. You could probably get it at a hardware store. This one comes from a florist supply store, so it's a little bit more pliable than the one that you might get at a hardware or garden store. But if you get it at a garden store, you'll probably find that it's quite pliable, used for gutter guard or around the edges of gardens, that sort of thing. So we want 2 strips of that, about 1/2 metre in length, and we're going to cut the ends so that they come into a point. It just makes it easier for us to shape that when we come around to shaping it. And then I've joined those 2 in the middle, and you'll see why in a minute. And the other thing that we need is some paper covered wire, and I've cut those bits ready to use as well, so we'll get that one out of the way. Now, those of you who are eagle-eyed will notice that I've got different earrings on from when I was at the store. And that's because the necklace that I had on knocks against the microphone, as I just did then with my hand. So I have to take that off when I'm actually doing the creating, because I forget that it's on and you hear all these other extraneous noises while I'm banging against the microphone rather than concentrating on what I'm going to do. And I've also I got at Christmas time, a new knife, which I'm very happy about. And this was brought back for me from Greece, and so I'm very keen to start using that today, because I do enjoy using a knife rather than the scissors, but we'll just see how we go. It's what you get comfortable using, I guess, because so much of the stuff that I used to use I would pick at the farm, and we would use a knife to pick out there, so I got used to handling the knife. But if you're more used to secateurs or scissors, use those, please. Don't try and use a knife if you're not used to using one. It takes a little bit of time to get used to. And having said that, some of the very thick stems are not suitable for a knife anyway. You do need the secateur. You do need a few things to use. So let's get started. Let's get organised. What I'm going to do first of all is trim off these little daisies and make them into, rather than use the whole stem, we're going to use them in little bunches so that I can group them and place them in the shape that we make with the chicken wire. So let's do that first. Okay, we've got 2, 4, 6 little bunches of the daisies. One of the reasons that I chose these was that don't need water. They don't need a water source, so we're going to be able to weave them and tie them into the design without needing to worry about a water source for them. Same with the foliage, that's why I've chosen it. So now we've got our shape, we've got it joined at the base, and we're going to make it a heart. Since it's February and we're all thinking about being in love, or when we were in love, or looking for love, and just enjoying the idea of love, a human emotion. So what we're going to do is shape it into a heart. Doesn't matter how artistic it is. Now, this could be used, you could hang this on the wall, you could put a bit of ribbon over it and hang it up high. You could have it as a centerpiece on your table, and that's what we're going to do. So we're actually going to make it a little bit smaller again. So if you just watch while I manipulate this, what I'm doing now is just using the ends to tie itself onto itself. And I will also use some of the tie wire that I used in on the daisies to secure it as well. But we'll get the bends in first. So there we have our shape. If we wanted to, we could throw a little bit of red ribbon around it if we didn't like the shape, that the finish of the wire itself. And I'm actually going to wrap, when I've finished putting the plant material in, I'm going to wrap this piece with the red ribbon, and probably a little bit at the base as well. You don't need to see me do that, you will see it at the end when it's finished. But let's do the placement of the plant material. Now we've got lots of the magnolia. Remember we talked about how it was good on both sides of the leaf, and I'll probably alternate and use some of the velvety brown side and some of the green side in this. And then we've got the silver dollar. The silver dollar is a much bigger leaf, and so we're going to thread that through first so that it shows off the shape that we've made. Once again, as I said, we don't need the water source for this on this occasion, because it'll only be on the table for a little bit of time. And so that's how we're getting a start. So I shall continue to do the placements. You can watch me doing those and tying them off, and then we'll come at the end and talk about how it's finished. But that's where we're going with it to start with. Well, as is sometimes the way with technology, the camera died, a flat battery. So while I was waiting for that to charge, I worked on this design, and as you'll see, I've used a lot less material than even I thought I was going to use. So I used 2 stems of the silver dollar and 2 of the individual pieces on the 3rd stem. And I've used the paper daisies, as you can see, but I didn't use the magnolia leaves. I didn't think it needed it. So, but what I did do is use the wool, and I've wrapped the wool all the way around so that if you wanted to use it to tie in your plant material, you could do that. If you haven't got the paper covered wire, or you don't want to use the paper covered wire, you could use the wool to tie your plant material in. Now at the moment the daisies are just placed in so that I can get an idea of the placements and of how finished it looks, but I'm going to actually leave this side unfinished. I quite like the look of that, and I've just got 2 more bunches to put in of the paper daisies, and we're done. So that was pretty straightforward. I will trim these off a little bit. And I'm actually using both the wire, the mesh wire, and the wool to hold these in place rather than tie them down again. And what I want is some interest. Now you'll see that I've put some of the foliage at the back of the design as well, even though if that was lying on a table it would be a little bit flattened out, but it gives it depth and it fills out that side, so it makes it nice and solid, gives you that shape. And then this one, I have to turn it around so I can see it. And we might, yeah. So what I'm going to do is we've got this one out on that side, we've got nothing on the inside here, so it's going to come in here like that, mirroring that placement on the outside, but giving us some interest on the inside of the hut. So I'll tie those off and then we'll see the finished product. Technical. So there we have our first design for February, obviously thinking along the theme of Valentine's Day and love. So very simple arrangement, but very effective arrangement. You could use it on the table or hanging beside the table or at an entranceway, something like that. Doesn't have to be full of flowers, doesn't have to be full of foliage. You can make something that is impressive, a bit of a wow factor with very little material. You saw how little we used out of that wonderful bunch that we got from Wollombi Road Providores. There we have our first design. As I said, I'm Kim Bailey, this is Floral Art Online. Thank you to everyone at Wollombi Road Providores for making this such an easy purchase and providing me with some wonderful plant material to use in February.